Hi guys, what's up? Today I'm going to be doing a very fun video. I cannot believe that I've never done this video, but today I am doing a video talking all about my drugstore holy grail makeup products. If you guys want to see me do a full face of my holy grails from the drugstore, then just go ahead and keep on watching. I have all of my makeup favorites right here, and I'm also going to try to use drugstore like brushes. Okay, so you guys know how I feel about primers. I honestly don't think they're necessary. There's like one primer that I actually do really like, and it does make a difference. I've talked about it a million times. It's the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. I think it makes my skin look so nice and smooth and makes my makeup last forever. There is something at the drugstore that is very, very similar. It's the Revlon. I couldn't find it. I think I decluttered it. I think it's just one of those things, like, I never use primers. I never use primers. So today I am trying out the Vichy Mineral 89 serum thing. Alana Davison here on YouTube kind of talks about it and was saying it's kind of one of her favorites. And basically it's very similar to the Smashbox. The only Smashbox primer that doesn't break me out, it's the primerizer one. Okay, so when I was thinking about foundation, it came down to two foundations. Now, this one, the Coverall Healthy Elixir, I have talked about and used on my channel. This is probably my most favorite foundation like ever. Like, I like this more than high-end foundation. But something else that I have been obsessed with as well is the CYO Long Lasting Foundation. This is the Life Proof one. I'm in the shade 105, and in the Healthy Elixir, I'm in the shade 725. So this one's a little darker than this one, but they are very similar, I will say. This one has sort of a dewy finish, whereas the see, okay, so when I'm self-tan, I tend to go for a more yellow-based foundation versus like a neutral. But honestly, like, once you blend this in, it doesn't look too gray. I know that kind of sounds odd, but sometimes neutral foundations can tend to go a little gray. But see how, like, there you go. It's like perfect now. I would say I think this one has a little bit more coverage, but this CYO stuff, oh. So the differences between the two, I would say this one has more of a dewy, natural finish, whereas this one's going to have a little bit more glow. Okay, my skin looks so good and nice and pretty, and now we're going to move on to concealer. Concealer, I kind of had a hard time because there are a lot of really good concealers at the drugstore. Like, I feel like Maybelline concealer game is on. The Fit Me one and the Better Skin one are perfection, but this one, I have worn this one and gone through so many tubes of this one for so many years. This one is just like, it's so good. I kind of like to use their brightener shade or their fair shade to just brighten everything up. See how that just like really brightens everything up, and it's like not too much coverage, but it covers up what you need it to. Now I'm going to go into another concealer that, honestly, this like is probably my second favorite concealer behind the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is in the shade Light. I do have it in the shade Fair for when I'm not self-tanned. And this stuff, if you like the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer and you have more drier under eyes and you're not like a huge fan of really cakey concealers, you're going to love this. So I'm just going to put this in the center of my face and blend it out. This gives you so much coverage, but it's so pretty. Next, we're going into powder, and I'm going to be honest, I am not, first of all, powder in general, I can't wear a lot of, and if I do wear powder, which I need to because it's summertime, I have to wear something that's super finely milled. So I really love the Becca. This is the Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. I need to have powders that watch. Like, I don't know if you could see that, but like when you open it, it's just like powder, just like flies out everywhere. So that being said, the drugstore powders on me typically just don't really work. However, there is one powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me powder. It is a loose finishing powder. It does have color to it. I'm actually going to press this under my eyes. I like never bake, but this is like the one powder that I can actually use. I'm also going to take, this is a powder brush. I use it for bronzer, but I'm also going to use it to set the rest of my face. This is the e.l.f. pointed powder brush. Love this brush. Love the e.l.f. brushes. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that and I'm just going to dust it over my forehead because it, like I said, it is summertime and I just need to kind of, you know, just set a little. Next, we're going to bronze. And I think this is everyone's favorite bronzer, but I have used the crap out of this. First of all, I love the smell of it. It's absolutely beautiful. This is, like I said, Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And I'm just going to bronze the skin. I am obsessed. And I feel like with this bronzer, like you can never go too far. It reminds me a whole lot of this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer. Let's see the colors next to each other. Honestly, the coloring is very, very similar. Let me swatch them. Oh my gosh, they're like almost identical. Okay, so this one is the Hourglass and this one is the Butter Bronzer, and they're basically identical. They have like the same sheen to it. Wow, that's insane. Okay, and for contour, now I'm not going to say this is like a holy grail because I've only used this a couple times, but if you do want like more of a matte bronzer, this Duo by Wet n Wild, the Mega Glow, they have a darker one and they have a lighter one. So this is the lighter one, but the contour shade in this is so pretty. It is just like the perfect, like it's not too gray, but it's not super warm, so you can really contour with this. This stuff is so powdery and like so pigmented. You need the tiniest bit. I'm going to see how that's just like just the wow. Okay, so far I am very impressed with the base, but I did look at it just a little bit and I am looking the tiniest bit dry, so I am going to spray my face with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Rose Priming Water. So I'm gonna be honest, there is not anything that I would say is like my favorite holy grail eyebrow product when it comes to drugstore. I feel like drugstore has a long way to go when it comes to eyebrow products. I don't know why, because I feel like they're always really waxy or they're like way too pigmented. But I will say this is the one thing from the drugstore that I have actually repurchased for my brows, and I do really like on days where I just want an easy natural brow. It's the Maybelline Total Temptation line that I really like, this brow definer. This is in the shade 300 Blonde. So the spoolie on the end, it's kind of sad, but you know, it's fine. And then it kind of rolls up like this. I really love the tone of this because it's not really a cool, I mean, it is a cooler undertone, but it doesn't make your brows look gray. And I will say, like, again, it doesn't have the most definition, but like it matches my natural hair color and the color of my brows perfectly. Okay, so brows are done. Let's move on to some blush. This blush, this Burt Bees blush in the shade 1210 Shy Pink is the blush of my dreams. Okay, I also wanted to mention, I said I was going to use brushes from the drugstore. So these are the e.l.f. stipple brushes. They're a little bit more on the expensive side. These are like $10 a piece, but for cream products, I use these all the time. I use this one for blush, I use this one for bronzer. I love these. I love e.l.f. brushes. I'm not gonna lie. I also love the Real Techniques brushes. This is their blush brush. First of all, it looks intense. But it is a stunning blush. They also have other shades. So if you're not really into blushes like that, they do have like a bronzier one that I actually have used for bronzer. Oh my gosh. This shade is like one of my favorite blushes of all time. I am just impressed. I'm impressed. Next, we're going to move on to highlighters. And I have two highlighters that I really, really love. So this one is a more recent find. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Powder. This is in the shade I'm So Lit. This is another one that I like love. This one I've been using for a while and I'm obsessed. I don't really use the gold shade. I'm not really into gold highlights, so I mix the lightest sort of like a champagne-y shade, and then I also use the more pinky shade. And there they are. These are more of a metallic highlight. So what I'm going to do today, since I honestly like them both, I love them, I'm going to use the flower one, again, mixing them up. This is a very powdery highlight, but I don't mind the kick up. I don't mind the kick up. I mean powdery in like a kick up way. And I'm going to just swipe this. See how like pretty and metallic it is? See how that's so pretty? Okay, and then on this side, I'm going to use the I'm So Lit shade. Now this one is actually more of almost like a gold shade, but not so gold that like it's a yellow gold like the Flower Beauty one. So I'm going to take a little bit of this on that same brush, put this one on the cheek, and this one I feel like you have to kind of like buff it in or else it's gonna look like it's sitting on top of the skin. And there we go. Moving on to eyeshadow. This is by ColourPop, so again, it's not totally drugstore, but it is drugstore prices. I think this palette is on sale for $13 on ColourPop, but I think it's originally like $18. The Sweet Talk Pressed Powdered palette. This palette is stunning. So I'm going to take the shade Catch Me, and I'm literally just going to set this all over the eye. This is such a nice cream shadow. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Work It. I'm just going to slowly, like, do we see, like, these shadows blend so well. They're so creamy and there's no patchiness to them. Next, I'm going to go into the shade Meadow right here. I'm going to blend that one through the crease, just we're slowly darkening up the crease. Next, I'm going to go into the shade ICYMI. This is kind of like a darker shade, a darker pinky, rusty-ish shade. And I'm just going to kind of put that in the outer corner, but also blend it through the crease. This palette is so easy too because it literally, like, all the shades, you just kind of like wiggle it around and it's like blended perfectly. Is West Side. It's more of a darker brown. I just kind of want to, again, take this on the outer edge and just like sort of blend it through the crease. We're gonna kind of keep this shade low. For the lid, I'm going to take this Side to Side shade. Oh my gosh, this Super Shock, it's so pretty. Every time I wear it, I'm just like, it's so stunning. Moving on to liner. So I'm gonna be honest too, I don't really like any drugstore liners, like pretty much at all, except for the Pixie eyeliner. I will say I couldn't find it because I just haven't been wearing liner. So I'm actually using the Glossier Color Slide, which is pretty much like in the same shade. It's kind of like a penny-ish brown shade. And I'm literally just going to just kind of put that on the outer edge. And then I'm going to take a little brush and just kind of smudge it out Okay, so this is what everything is looking like so far. Now let's move on to some mascara. So the Falsies mascara, not the Falsies Flare, just the Falsies mascara in general has been my favorite mascara since I was like, literally since it like first came out. I also really like the wand on this. It's kind of like a big fluffy wand, and I'm just going to coat my lashes. Mascara is done, and finally, to finish off the entire look, I am going to be using the L'Oreal Color Riche Shine lipstick in the shade 900 Glossy Fawn. Now, Alana Davison here on YouTube talked about this, and honestly, when I saw the color, I was like, that's a little too nude. But this shade and just like all of the Color Riche, they're a little more sheer and they're so glossy. They're kind of like a MAC luster lipstick where it just has just like a nice sheen. It's kind of like a gloss and a lipstick in one. But love the Color Riche ones. I love the shade Glossy Fawn. I think it's perfect for every day. Now I'm going to just spritz my skin one more time because, again, the powder is very intense. Very intense. And this is the final look. Okay guys, so I hope that you liked this video today. I forget how good the drugstore has gotten, and some of my holy grails come from the drugstore. So I would love to know what your holy grails are from the drugstore, because I'm always looking for some new things to kind of try out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below to become a member of my small but growing family, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!